Yeah, I do.
Where's Liger? Where's Liger? That's because they're down there.
Go, Josh. Ball back. Oh, he's doing it.
I need to do
You kicked her in the face.
Did I get in her lane?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So you're probably wondering, why are they swimming in a pool on their first day of ministry?
And what's going to happen?
I'm going to win.
Josh is going to dominate.
The problem with short-term missions trips is that you're always thrown a few curves along the way. And on our first day of ministry, we were thrown a major curve. So how did we end up holding an impromptu swimming contest when we were supposed to be colliding with love? Well, let's just start from the beginning. Our story begins in Panama City, Florida, with Dustin Bryson. Dustin is the youth pastor of Eastgate Christian Fellowship, a photographer, an all-around funny man. Think Jack Black with an eye for design. In 2006, Dustin made some changes to the youth program.
We decided in 2006 to change things up, flip it up, do a couple of fun days where people are encouraged to invite their friends. We also added a Sunday morning Sunday school, but since Sunday school is not a cool word, we call it the Spot.
The Spot is a morning meeting that we have here at Eastgate.
We have a little Bible study. Sometimes, a lot of times, we just do highs, lows, and prayers and praises.
What are the highs, lows?
Like your high point of the week and your low point of the week, kind of like your highlights and the stuff that didn't really go so well. So then you can share it with your friends, and then they can pray for you and all that good stuff.
This was something that we could do where we could get some kids in there really getting to know each other and having some fellowship, which is the Christian word for hanging out and getting to know each other.
Around that time, Dustin began looking into taking the youth on their first overseas missions trip.
After Katrina, we went to New Orleans to help gut houses. A lot of students went. We teamed up with 2 other churches, had a great time, got a lot of work done, helped a lot of people. It was really rewarding. But then the next year, I wanted to do something bigger. I wanted them to be in a place where everyone spoke a different language and just got in with people who, in third world countries, they're the poorest of the poor, and sit next to them and eat the same food as they do, and just interact with them and become friends with people that are different from themselves.
So Dustin rallied the youth to begin preparing for the trip, and fundraising began. But it wasn't long before we met our first curve.
After 9/11, things just got really difficult, and they got a lot more scrutiny. And one girl we had calling 4 or 5 times an hour just trying to get through.
So basically my passport came like the day that they left, but luckily God was good in the whole thing. So as far as all that goes, like I did a lot of stuff around here with the rescue mission and whatnot, so it was all good.
Unfortunately, he couldn't make it on the trip, but all the other students made it. It was definitely a curveball.
So the final Costa Rica group ended up looking like this. Our soccer experts, Jeremy and Dan. Our band sensations, Jake, Kat, and April. Our resident beach bums, Adam, Sammy, and Jamie. Our children's ministry specialists, Leah and Cody. Cody also happened to have a working knowledge of Spanish, which would end up helping immensely. 4 assistant leaders, Josh, Amanda, myself, and the official Eastgate Grill Master, Mike Kern. And of course, our fearless leader, Dusty. So with this team in place on July 6, 2007, we set off on our trip. Upon arrival in Costa Rica, we took the bus to our first destination, the Best Western Urazu, located in the heart of San Jose. Here we met with the rest of the BWO team and project leader Debbie Teetsort. And it was at the Best Western that we learned that the surf soccer team was about to gain a new teammate.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm on the Collide with Love tour.
He was apparently a soccer coach, and so that helped us out a lot during our soccer clinic.
I'm just a love machine.
Andrew was originally scheduled to be on the construction team, while his being an avid soccer player and surfer probably had something to do with his decision to join our team. I tend to think it was our charm that won him over.
My high would be meeting all y'all, I really feel like a family. And especially Dustin, he's like my brother.
Get it on video, sucker!
Mike too, all y'all are all sweet, y'all
that first night in San Jose, we ate dinner at a local restaurant and then settled in to prepare for the next day when ministry would begin. But instead, this happened to be the day we met our first unexpected curve. The surf soccer team boarded the bus on schedule, and we were ready to go, but
Something went wrong with the bus.
We got on this bus, as you can see, it's packed with people. It was a dangerous situation, so I had to put the lockdown on it and tell them that we are not riding in this bus. No, that's not what happened.
It's too much. It's too dangerous.
So this is our group here. They told us to get off and go wait in the lobby for either another bus or maybe we get to go back to sleep and swim in the pool. I don't know. But whatever happens, I got off the bus. And that's okay with me. I was a sardine.
no other buses were available for charter that day. So that's how we ended up in the pool. This incident would not be the last of our bus-going woes, as we would be commuting an hour and a half to and from the ministry spot we would be visiting the next few days.
My low is the bus drive again. Always going to be the bus drive.
Big, diesely, and not very comfortable.
My low is the bus ride also. I got really sick on the way up and almost died, so that would be it.
But the time on the bus was not a total loss, providing us with some beautiful views, time for prayer and reading, and opportunities to converse with other team members and the translators.
My high was probably actually the bus ride back because I got to talk to some of the translators who are from Costa Rica, and it was kind of cool. I don't know, because I kind of thought like they'd be a lot different than me, but we had some same interests and stuff. It was kind of cool to see how like media, it's kind of universal, like how they'd seen like movies and video games and music and stuff like I mean it's the same, so it's kind of cool seeing how well we had in common.
Perhaps this would be a good time to introduce the translators, without whom trips like this would be impossible.
Hi everybody, I'm Jill, I'm from Costa Rica, bless you.
It was nice to go to a different country and see these Christians that just totally took us in, you know, never seen us before, but they just took us in and were like, hey, you want to go play soccer, you want to go do this, you want to go do that, and it was really nice.
My name is Randall. I'm from Costa Rica. I'm a translator. This year I've been with the construction team and it has been awesome. I also have played soccer against the soccer team. It was very fun.
Yesterday playing indoor soccer with the translators, had a good time because we got to connect with a lot of the translators, hang out with them.
Most of the translators were provided by a local church in San Jose called the Oasis de Esperanza. The same church also helped us with the logistics of getting from place to place and provided us with our next lodging, a retreat center reserved for new believers, where we would spend our next few nights.
The quest for faith is a lunar endeavor, not warmer and brighter, but darker and wetter. I trudge and I slip as I reach out for daylight, but grasp only fistfuls of night.
We got to the retreat center. We walked into this big room and it was completely empty. And I thought, all right, we're gonna sleep on the floor with sleeping bags. I was prepared for it. Then she told us that we had to go to our rooms. So we made the walk across the property, walked in, and there's bunk beds and everything, and it was pretty sweet.
This is the Eastgate Dudes dorm right here.
And just to have like all of the Eastgate crew with us, the guys at least, that was pretty sweet.
The retreat center was awesome. The facilities were nice and clean. The food was good. It was just, the retreat center was amazing.
We're the first group, the guinea pigs, to ever stay here. And if we mess it up, we break a window. I mean, who knows what their level is, where they're going to say, okay, no more, you know, or no mas. If we do a good job and we keep it clean and we're respectful, other groups can come in and minister and use this facility because it's a good facility. So you guys have been respectful. So my praise is that for you guys are doing a good job.
While there's no shortage of good sending agencies out there, God led us to Believers World Outreach. BWO has all the characteristics of a quality sending agency. First, BWO has a strong local church connection and has partnered with local believers and groups to ensure that these short-term trips have a lasting impact. They also provide ample opportunities for the discipleship of those ministering on the trip, as well as substantial help and gospel witness for the local people. And in addition, they offer multiple ministry teams, from cosmetology to teaching kids how to surf, which of course is right up our alley, Finally, BWO also takes care of the relational side, providing translators the organization has worked with in the past. So with BWO at the helm, we studied our trip manuals and prepared for the early morning flight to Costa Rica.
It's not quite 4 o'clock. I think it's like 10 till 4 or something like that. We're supposed to head out of here at 4:15. We're taking a shuttle to the airport, and off we go.
As with any of life's enterprises, it's good to look ahead when preparing for a ministry overseas, to have goals and a set of expectations.
Something I would like to see happen. I just want people to see God in us, and I want people to be encouraged, since we have like a big language barrier. But I just want God to be like shown.
Experience being uncomfortable for a couple weeks, but stepping outside of that uncomfortableness and doing something for Jesus anyway.
I like to meet some awesome people and just let them know that God loves them. And I love them.
See people just like love God just because it's intoxicating and it's like oozing out of our pores. I just want people just to like be encouraged.
In addition to planning for the future, it's always important to have knowledge of the target people's past. So while we board the plane and take to the air, let's take a look at one specific aspect of Costa Rica's history: negative foreign influence. In the 16th century, Spanish conquistadors hoped to find large quantities of gold, so they attempted to conquer Costa Rica through repeated expeditions and conquests, sacking villages and enslaving survivors. And though they may have believed that their intentions were pure and godly, actions tend to leave deeper impressions on history than intentions, and Costa Rica was more than ready to join the other Central American countries in securing freedom from Spain in 1821. While the conquistadors may have had at least some shred of decency in their motives, the same cannot be said of our next subject, William Walker. Walker was an American lawyer and physician who decided to conquer Central America and sell the people as slaves in the U.S. Thankfully, he wasn't successful, but as U.S. citizens who are trying to make a good first impression, ours went out the window with Walker. But even having dealt with William Walker and the conquistadors, nothing could prepare Costa Rica for who would come next. In the 1960s, surfers discovered Costa Rica, and the country would never be the same. Every decade, the country received a bit more exposure, with the surf magazines doing special stories on Costa Rica in the 70s. Surfing Magazine's publication of Aaron Chang's now iconic picture of Witch's Rock in the early 80s, and of course Patton Wingnut's antics in the Endless Summer 2 in the early 90s. Now Costa Rica has become one of the prime destinations for wave-deprived U.S. citizens. And sure, we may not have the same lust for power or riches as Walker or the conquistadors, but even still, surfing by its very nature tends to be a selfish sport. And even if our intentions aren't necessarily evil, traveling surfers can be the proverbial bull in the china shop, wreaking cross-cultural havoc in our attempt to get waves. Whether they were concerned with securing gold, slaves, or waves, these foreign influences all had one thing in common. They cared more about their ambitions than the people of Costa Rica. So even though we come with the best intentions, it's important to remember that from a local standpoint, foreigners coming with selfless motives are the exception to the rule, and we need to be so careful that we don't unintentionally end up resembling the invaders in Costa Rica's history rather than Jesus Christ. Our first ministry destination was Quitorisi, a tiny village located high in the mountains outside San Jose.
Si es posible, con la mente cerrada la luz no puede entrar. No te la voy a hacer complicado. Ya no te estés complicando. Es increíble que por el nombre de Dios estoy salvado. Y por tu nombre estoy salvado. Si no es así, es que no estás salvado.
My favorite part of the day was getting to hang out with these little kids. I'm telling you, these little kids are the most beautiful kids in the world.
It was really fun meeting those kids, and I have a little friend named Alberto, a little boy who just had so much energy and was so sweet. I just loved him so much. I'm just glad I got to help just play ball with him and stuff and just encourage him.
I did meet this one little kid that just completely fascinated me. His name was Brantos Jesus or something. Jesus. Oh man, he was just great. I mean, I know we have little kids in America, but I mean, it was just totally different.
You don't smile?
You want to smile?
And then watching their faces light up when they saw their own photo on the digital camera, that was awesome. So that was my highlight.
I just love meeting the kids. My friend Julian, we're best friends now. I call him my boyfriend. He says, "You gross."
My high was a specific event yesterday. You know those little Oreo pack things that we got, the little Oreo cookies? Like I was eating them, and I was like, oh, I'm going to give them to the kids, and I gave it to one boy, and he started eating them, and then he came back up and was like trying to offer it out to everyone else. I don't know, I thought that was amazing, because like they don't get stuff like that, and if it were me, I would have been like keeping it to myself, but he was like trying to give it back to me and like share with me, and I don't know, that was just really cool.
And I had this dirt clod war with this little kid. Like he started off throwing at me from the hill, and I like took the hill like it was an army battle or something. It was great.
I now believe in true love, because that's what happened when I saw them. And they're just so precious. After one day, I can't believe how much I already love them and how much I'm going to miss them when we leave. And my low is going to be, it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to be trying to get a kid through customs, because I swear I'm going to take one.
What I really think is cool is actually the parents, the adults who show up. The kids, they take a while to warm up, and once they do, it's just like you can't stop. They're going for it, they're playing soccer, they're digging it, they just love the attention and all that good stuff. But the parents are the ones that are stern-faced, and they're the ones that you don't know how they're thinking about this. If you can get the parent to think about Jesus, if you can get the parent to start praying or reading the Bible, well then that kid has got something to keep him going on and over and over again rather than just relying on himself. My high has actually been able to see these parents, especially these women, go from stone skull face looking scowls to actually really loosening up, especially after 2 days, and really kind of relaxing around everybody and allowing their kids to be freer and to let their kids run off with us and get candy and stuff like that. And that's really cool because you can see it in the parents. Something's touching them.
Tiny star you hold.
High would definitely be soccer.
Definitely the soccer.
Playing soccer.
Soccer.
Playing soccer.
While our mud field was nowhere near regulation size, the real problem was its boundaries. On one side, we had the cosmetology team, who on more than one occasion had to deal with flying soccer balls through their space. And then there was the cliff.
And then my low was falling down the mountain. I tried to go get a ball and I could not get back up the mountain to save my life. I had to take off my shoes and like throw them up the mountain and then like dig my toes into the clay and get up. And they were like monster ants trying to eat me.
Also, another low is that hill owning my leg, and now it really hurts.
I haven't played any type of sport or run in like 5 months or so. So it was awesome just getting out, and like God's really been blessing me with strength and stuff and health and stuff, because I never thought I could even like run yet.
My high was just watching how excited the little kids got whenever we told them that they could play. They could come up and ask in Spanish, which of course I don't know what they were saying, if they could come play, and when you tell them yes, they would just light up, and that was pretty cool.
I guess my high would probably be like just all the smiles just from being able to kick a soccer ball with them.
Just seeing those kids who were kind of shy, and then by the end of the day they were just all about playing soccer and just kind of hanging out with us and getting to know them and stuff. I really enjoyed that.
My high is probably like watching the kids, you know, we got there and then the kids are all like shy, they didn't want to talk. They were like best friends and outgoing by the end of the day, you know, like slapping hands and, you know, like we'd known them forever. One of the coolest things was to be able to get there to a place that I've never been before, and I mean literally some mountain village, looking down the area, and you've got like guys working on the building here, you've got doctors, you know, helping people here, and people giving haircuts and making people feel pretty, and then you got everybody else getting involved in the games and the community. That was really cool. But what was really cool about it is standing at the end or at the entrance and exit of the thing, and I was helping them work with the pipe. And when at the end of the day, when people were done, they were walking by, and they just every single one of them walked by and said, "Thank you,
thank you very much with smiles on their faces. They didn't know me. They just knew I was one of the guys that were there, and I was the last guy that they saw, and they were just like, thank you, thank you, thank you. So that was pretty cool.
A sending agency is a parachurch organization that sends and supports missionaries, and picking one is no small task. Utilizing the online database shorttermmissions.com, I performed a test search in March of available summer trips this year. The results were staggering. 493 trips from 59 sending agencies. And looking at all these different organizations, it's not long before you encounter acronym shock. And perhaps even more daunting is choosing the trip itself. Not only are the numbers staggering, but there are endless varieties and types of ministries. So with all these options, where do you start? And how do you choose the right one? I decided to ask someone who knows. Christian Zadek is the short-term missions coordinator for Palm Beach Atlantic University. He is responsible for arranging short-term missions trips for college students and preparing them for the ministry. After sending over 70 teams from a variety of different agencies, he's developed a sense of what a good short-term missions agency should look like.
There's a few things that you want to look for when you're connecting with a sending agency or a parachurch organization to go on a short-term mission trip. The first one I would say is a local church connection. You want to have a strong connection with a local church on the ground wherever you're going to minister. So if you're going to Brazil, you don't just want to go and do ministry with an outside organization and have no connection with the church there on the ground, because then when you leave, everyone leaves and the ministry evaporates and disappears. You want to have a continual impact there, and the only way to do that is through local believers, through a local church. Another really important thing when you're going on a short-term mission trip is the focus of that agency. There is discipleship to be had on a short-term mission trip, right? Like Paul and Timothy. The goers are important, but the receivers are equally, if not more important, the people who are going to receive the ministry that you're going to give. Some agencies are focused only on raising up long-term missionaries. Others are focused only on the short term, only on going for a week and that's it. And neither one of those views, I think, is very balanced. It needs to be a little bit of both. You should go and do the ministry that's appropriate for you to do, whoever you are. If there's a need for medical professionals, that's probably not the mission trip for you, unless you're a medical professional. So you want to go and meet needs that you're equipped to meet. And everyone is equipped to meet certain needs. You just have to find the right place to connect. Finally, I'd say it's really important that whoever you partner with, their ministry has a very relational focus. A lot of times as Americans, we put all the value in the project or in the task, not what the mission field needs. They need people who have ears to hear, who will share from their lives, share their testimonies with others, and build strong relationships. So when you go, even if there's a language barrier, which there most often is, even if there's a very thick cultural barrier, you should be striving to build relationships with people in that culture. And the agency that you go through needs to value that.
As we loaded the buses and prepared to leave for Hako, the surf soccer team also gained a new face, Carmen.
Excited to be here?
I am very excited to be here.
So you can teach us some stuff?
Maybe.
She was from California, so she knew a lot about surfing, and that helped us out during the surf clinic.
Carmen was scheduled to be with us from the beginning, but as with some of our own team members, she encountered passport trouble and couldn't make it until the last half of the trip. So with Carmen on board, we loaded up the buses and headed off for Hako. And on the ride, we were treated to some phenomenal views. It also gave us time to get to know some of the members from other teams, to reflect on the ministry in Kitarisi, and to look forward to the time ahead.
So what's been your favorite thing so far?
Probably seeing the little kids' faces. Just seeing the joy, even though they have nothing at all. It's pretty amazing.
It's been really cool just seeing the people come out each day, and then it's just kind of like, as it grows, as people spread the word, it just continues to grow, more people come. It's just amazing.
Kitarisi. Didier up there, he kind of helps out up there. He's a really cool cat, and he's got this like vision he thinks he's got. He's like wanting to put like a church or a retreat center type deal thing up there, so that way like groups like our kind of groups can go up there and stay there and help out throughout the community, because a lot of the fathers and stuff are either like divorced from their wife, or they're just out partying, getting drunk all night. So he really sees that need, and he wants to fill that need. I got his email, and I'll be keeping in touch, so it'd be great.
So there'll be follow-up?
Definitely follow-up, yes, definitely.
Very excited about the water. I've never
I've never swam in the Pacific Ocean.
Like, I've never seen the Pacific Ocean.
Pacific Ocean! Muy excited!
I'm just looking forward to getting back out and getting some other ministry done, and then also just getting to see the beach and everything. It's been a long time since I've been near a beach, so it'll be cool.
Puerto Rico was really cool to go to, and kids were awesome, and now I'm excited to move on to a new batch.
And what about Jaco? You looking forward to Jaco?
Yeah. I doesn't really like the environment of Jaco. That's why I'm going, so I can change that.
Upon arrival in Jaco, our first objective was to establish contact with Coqui Valverde, one of the directors of the local chapter of Christian Surfers Association. CSA had a compound a few blocks from the beach where kids could come and skate.
Like, the kids seemed to really respect them. It was really neat to see how they interacted with the kids.
In addition to providing kids with a place to hang out and to do Bible study, CSA has also hosted a yearly contest at Hermosa Beach called the Eternal Crown Surf Contest. So having an established relationship with the locals, Coqui led us into the streets to invite kids to the surf camps we'd be holding that week.
So what we're going to do is we're going to give one platter to each kid. We're going to do 20 kids for the surf camp.
One of the first neighborhoods we visited was a Nicaraguan refugee camp on the banks of a dry riverbed, where the VBS team was holding a backyard Bible club.
My low was seeing the Nicaraguan village today. That was just sad, you know, to see how those people have to live.
My high was actually the opposite of Josh, was seeing the Nicaraguan village.
Not only did kids come out of the woodwork for the VBS, but they excitedly looked forward to the next day when the surf camp would begin.
Alright, so Ford gets us up at freaking 4:30 in the morning. First morning in Jaco to go surfing. And as you can tell, it's pretty black out there. So now we're sitting here listening to the surf, waiting for the sun to come up. Dude, the sun's coming up. We were thinking we were gonna miss the surf because it was like 5:30, whatever. We get out here with these guys, and it's only 4:30. Mr. Ford set the alarm for 3:30 in the morning. Look at this, dude. That's what time it really is. I've been up for an hour and a half. Bum.
At 3:40 in the morning.
And I knew it felt like 3 o'clock in the morning. What's going on?
Stand and deliver, you wonder and shiver, collections of dates, they train us to numb our chest.
In the morning tomorrow, not just with the intent to surf, because that's fun and it's going to happen, but let's let the thing be on our mind that, man, God, who do you have for me? Is there somebody going to be that I'm going to meet? You know, let's be praying about that tonight. Let's be thinking about it. Let's do it on purpose. You know, God will bring the people to us who we're supposed to be, you know, hanging out with and loving on.
Si el Espíritu de Dios está en mi corazón, yo danzo como David. Si el Espíritu de Dios está en mi corazón, yo danzo como David. Oh, yo danzo como David. Oh, yo danzo como David.
Panama City, you know, we sort of take the ocean for granted sometimes, and like it was cool to share something that I know that I love the ocean, share that with them down, you know, in a different country.
Even though there was a huge language barrier, I really think that they got why we were there, and it was to hang out with them and to love them.
The surf camp the last few days, any highlights or memories?
Yeah, Ferdinand. He caught on real quick, but he wouldn't stand up. He would just squat with his arms straight out like an airplane and go shoot straight. And so finally, you know, we got to the point to where I'd stand up, pop up, pop up. So he'd stand up and then he'd just turn his body sideways, just like an airplane. It was hilarious.
So while we were teaching kids to surf in the southeast corner of the Hako Cove, the other ministry teams were busy doing work all around the city.
There was a time I didn't have anything to do, so I went with the medical group. We're sitting there walking around in this little shanty town, and there's these guys that are working on cars on this half-built garage. It wasn't even finished, and they had it full, all these cars in there. And when they realized what was going on, they just immediately started pushing all their cars off the road, across the road into the ditch off the side to make a spot for us. And that was cool. That was a good feeling. They were just, come on in, you know, and we helped set up this medical tent, and all the tables and the doctors were all getting set up, and already there was a line. And just to see these kids sitting on the laps of the doctors and getting help, you know, for their rashes or their cuts or their coughs or their colds and everything, that was a high for me.
Meanwhile, the construction team was hard at work in the heart of Hako on a new church building for resident missionaries Mike and Reve Lawrence.
Well, the church, God put in our heart to plant probably about 3.5 years ago. We moved here 2 years ago to begin that process. And then about a month ago, the Lord opened some doors and answered some prayers for us to get a facility in the community. So now we're going to have a place to meet that's on the second busiest road in Hako.
Our construction team that we've been talking about for the mission trip actually spent the second half of the trip working on this coffee house / church. And so quite a bit of work got done. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's very accurate. Actually, the majority of the work got done. It was just one big rectangular shaped facility, a warehouse of sorts, but made out of concrete. And now the walls are up for the bathroom and to separate the cafe from the church facility. So we still have some work to do, but a large chunk of the work has been completed.
By the evening of Monday, July 16th, we had taught some kids the surfing basics, met some new friends, and even managed to catch a few waves ourselves. As we retired for the night, little did we know that the next day would bring the trip's next big surprise. But this time, it was a good one. We were telling each other our highs lows at the morning team meeting as usual, when Carmen notified us of a decision she wanted to make that would end up affecting not only the BWO team, but the mission trip as a whole.
Is Dustin here?
Yeah.
Where is he? Oh. I would like to be baptized today, and I don't know if that's possible, but I think that'd be really, really cool because I've never been baptized before.
So during the next day's surf camp, Carmen walked out into the water to be baptized for the first time. One of the chief drawbacks to short-term trips overseas is that an unhealthy relationship is often formed between the sender and receiver. We come with the best intentions, but often don't realize some of the unintended consequences that accompany those intentions. We give gifts, but in so doing often foster dependency in the receiver. As Americans, we see people as being poorer than us and sometimes pity them, and they see that. So when we go with the intent to share the gospel of Christ, oftentimes they end up receiving a different message entirely, one we didn't intend. They end up receiving the message of American capitalism. Before, they didn't feel like they were missing anything, but now they see all they're missing, and some of them begin wanting it. And they begin to depend on American Christians to bring it to them. And some of them begin looking at us with a mixture of jealousy and resentment, especially if we do a better job of living the American dream than the cross of Christ. But when Carmen made her public profession of faith in Christ by being baptized in the waters of Hako on Tuesday, July 17th, she demonstrated that we Americans need help just as much as anyone else, and that the Savior we're talking about saves us too. By getting baptized in front of all those kids, she helped peel back some of the layers of misunderstanding and miscommunication that always occur in cross-cultural ministry, so the receivers could see the gospel in a form they could understand. But the effects of Carmen's choice to get baptized did not end there.
It was like it started some type of trend, and it was quite amazing to see how it progressed, because the next day we had quite a few people volunteer like, oh, I want to get baptized.
Find me in the river, find me there, find me on my knees with my soul laid bare. Even though you're gone and I'm cracked and dry, find me in the river, I'm waiting here.
During one of the final baptisms, a local man who had walked by and saw the baptisms in progress decided he wanted to be baptized on the spot. After talking to a few pastors via the translator, he was baptized.
Find me in the river, I'm waiting here for you. Come find me.
Throughout the trip, we had our share of weather woes. Hot and humid in Jaco, cooler than expected in the retreat center, and rainy in Quitorici. In fact, it rained almost every afternoon in Quitorici, which cut into our ministry time. But the weather had not affected the surf ministry in Jaco yet, until the last day, when the trip took its final unexpected turn. But this time we were ready for it with a plan B.
So today's the last day. We're in Jaco, or Jaco if you're a Tico or a Tica, which is the locals, and it's raining. And even though we're surfing, the students that would come out to learn surfing won't come out because it's raining. So even the Nicaraguans and the Costa Ricans won't come out. So what we're going to do today instead of surf lessons is we are going to do a beach walk, beach cleanup, and we're going to do a prayer walk. So as we walk and pick up trash, we're going to be praying for the city in probably groups of 2. Just spread out, asking that the Lord would take care of this place. I mean, he was here far before we were, and he'll be here far after, but we've all now got a heart for Jaco and for San Jose, and so we're gonna just ask that God would handle that and be here and love these people, and so that's what we're doing today.
I was kind of angry that all the other kids got to go do like some awesome things and like work with people and just chill, but we had to go with Dusty and pick up garbage on a nasty, sewagey beach. And I remember talking to God about that and just being like, God, why in the world are we doing this? Like, I don't see any purpose. It's our last day. Why aren't we doing stuff with community? We got to walking down the beach, and I saw this guy out in the distance, and he's just standing all alone, and it looked so peculiar. So I was like, God, maybe that's why we're here. So I went up to him and introduced myself, and he started talking, and the more I started looking at him, he just kind of smelled really like strong, and like his eyes were just blood red. So I started thinking, I was like, what am I doing here? Should I have even come up to him? He was a drug dealer. He actually goes there every morning. That this guy, who knows if he's scary or violent. I started praying. I was like, God, please, I don't want to be alone. I'm so scared. And then like out of the blue, I look behind me because I see like some movement out of like my peripheral vision. I look back and it's Jeremy, and Jeremy actually just like stayed there like within my peripheral vision the entire time, which just was like a huge comfort knowing that there was a guy somewhere close. That was quite amazing of Jeremy, and I think I appreciate him more than he realizes. There's a couple of times where people just kept on circling around, waiting for him, and he'd have to wave him off while we were talking because all they wanted was something from him. Just from talking to him, I could kind of tell that that's all that anybody ever really did for him, was want something from him. And I don't think anybody ever approached him just saying, hey, or how are you, with asking nothing in return. So I think he was kind of shocked, and I don't think he was used to it. After we started talking, I started realizing, like, I could do the Romans Road, or, just like explain to him, step by step, Jesus' salvation. But then I realized, like, for someone like him who'd never been presented with the gospel, and actually he had when he was a child, but he just had terrible experiences. I don't know, I just felt led by the Spirit to just drop like the super spiritual type of words. Maybe just showing him the love of Christ through just talking to him. I think that was a breakthrough, just speaking to him. So
Jim Elliot said, "Wherever you are, be all there. Live to the hilt every situation you believe to be the will of God." I think by the end of our trip, we were beginning to learn this lesson, that even when our plan is compromised, or our situation is not ideal, that we can still do the best with what we've been given. That even picking up trash on the beach with a worshipful heart can not only lead to ministry, but become one. Short-term missions trips are memorable occasions, filled with fun times and new friends, emotional highs and inside jokes, beautiful sights and new experiences. They give us opportunities to see God work in unique ways and perhaps hear Him afresh. But it's so easy to get caught up in remembering these trips instead of learning from them. So rather than rest on our laurels and delight in past memories, let's take the lessons we've learned from this trip and apply them, remembering that there's still a big, beautiful world of people out there who don't know our King. Let's get to it.
Did you hear him? He's tapping in the window, trying to get him to come to the sink to see the crab that's like this big. Okay, so it's this big, or that big, but still, it's a crab.
So tell me what you thought about today. Excuse me.
Today was pretty good. Had some fun. I don't see him anymore.
What time is it?
10:30. There's people outside still. We're not the only ones.
Hey, are you after these guys?
Find it. Yeah. Now I'm in. You all pretty good house. Thank you. So what happened?
Not much.
It wasn't me, it was Mike.
Are you kidding me?
It was mine.
You put it in there?
I had nothing to do with it.
How'd you find it?
Him and Andrew, you know.
No, I'll get it out. Is that what you were laughing about? Is that what you were laughing about?
Yeah.
Hold on.
The first time I saw it was when he was telling that joke.
Hold on.
Where did you get it? Is this like a
Okay, so you want to hear the story of what happened? Here.
Oh my god.
It's gonna get out. It's gonna get out. It's gonna get out.
I'll just shake him so he can't move.
Here.
Yeah, squash him. That's a good idea.
Is this like a room for anybody?
Going around in the sink, like crawling around. I don't get it.
Okay.
So we thought someone was knocking on the window.
Well, he was trying to do it so you wouldn't find out about the middle of the night.
The guy
Who saw
stopped.
it?
That's
Who
not even
found it?
funny. I did, because I walked over to the window and I saw someone singing. I was like, oh my god.
Oh my god, oh my gosh, there's a computer.
It worked, dude. Tapping on the window worked.
Y'all stupid. That was retarded. I thought someone was outside our door. I Everything else was breaking or something. Like, I didn't know. Oh my goodness.
Running now. It's just like someone's gonna grab it my seat.
So gross.
All right, we're looking for creatures
to eat.
Okay, I heard a cricket in here, but it's I don't know. I mean,
Oh yeah.
ow! It's got little spinities.
That's mustard.
That's not mustard.
Yeah, it is.
I think he's right.
That's wild mustard.
Well, let's eat it and find
Eat
out.
it.
Well, just taste it. Don't actually eat it.
Yeah, first you rub it on your body and see if you have a rash afterwards.
Spicy.
And then after about 5 minutes,
mustard.
All right, let's.
if you don't have a rash, then you rub it on your tongue. And then
Welcome to Costa Rica.
Isn't it kind of spicy? I think that's wild mustard.
I don't know.
We could cook that. We could boil it in a stew and make it.
lights off.
Wait.
Is that him? There's a cockroach.
Wait.
Oh no, that's a firefly.
There he is. He's over
I'm
here.
eating
He's
it.
over here.
No, that's a cockroach.
No, that's a firefly.
Look, he's over here. No, it's not. Watch, just wait.
No, that's not a firefly.
Oh,
Creatures.
crap.
No, where do you find?
You lost it. That's a firefly.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Cut off the light and see if it blinks. Hold him in your hand and see what happens.
Way to go, way to lose him.
No. Dadgummit.
Turn off the
Really
light
look
and see
like
what
it.
happens.
Yeah, you think he's gonna blink in there?
We're making the dogs, man. The dogs gonna get beat up.
Dogs across the fence. Double barbed wire.
Oh, that looks like a good. That looks like a good candidate right
Where
there,
is it?
boys.
Where? I don't see it.
What is that thing?
Where is it? Forward?
It's
Only
you're
one
shining your
flashlight.
flashlight.
Only one flashlight, except for Ford.
Right there.
There it is.
Right where?
Right there.
Right where?
He's shining his
He's
flashlight.
shining a freaking flashlight.
Lock your legs.
Lock your legs.
Lock your legs.
You're locked. Oh my!
Just grab
It's
it.
just a grasshopper.
No, it's not. It's some sort of devil creature.
Just grab it. Just grab it by its antenna.
Meaty legs.
Dude, look at that.
Are you recording?
I'm recording, yes.
Dude, we have found the devil creature.
All right, let's bring him to the roast.
Don't let him jump for.
He's gonna jump, dude.
Alright, you don't have to
Look
record
at
this
that
part.
antenna. Hold on, bro.
I know.
That is a long antenna. You see it out there?
Dude,
You have
the
the both
guts
of
for
them?
this kind of thing. I mean, look at that.
That's
Look
not
at
a
his
normal
antenna.
thing. Dude, wrap it up in that leaf.
Yeah.
He's not gonna move. He's like he was wigged out. In biblical times, John the Baptist swore off eating food that regular people would eat, and he kept to the deserts, and while there he ate locusts and honey. We realized if we were going to have a fruitful ministry, we needed to be like John the Baptist, and like him, eat locusts and wild honey. But then it occurred to us there were no locusts around. We did not know where to look, and we didn't have any honey. So now we will settle for wild Costa Rican cricket with peanut butter. And we know if we do this, like John the Baptist did, then surely we will be blessed.
He's holding on, dude. He's holding on.
Oh, dude, I want the legs.
That sucker's holding on.
He's biting me.
That's
All
why
right.
I want the head. Did you spit it out? Did you spit it out? Did you spit it out? Come on, Adam.
Hurry up.
The butt. I got 0 minutes. Adam, look at the camera.
part of the wing, I think. You got it.
Are you feeling holy?
I don't know so much holy, but
Did it taste gross?
I didn't taste it. I had the peanut butter on it.
Okay, I just think we could do better. I think we could do better.
For what?
This is a good idea. It just needs a little bit more finesse.
Look, here's your motivation.
Faster, with more intensity.
Make it dramatic.
You were a dipstick.
I forgot a white balance too. Let's try that.
Like any good tour, our Collide with Love tour would revolve around the use of the bus. So it was fitting that the first leg of the trip took place on a bus. And as such, ours met all the criteria of a successful youth bus trip. First, you gotta have that one late guy who holds things up.
I said, hey, where are you? And he said, oh, I'm running late. Then he has the story when he gets here that he was up for over an hour, already packed, ready to go, just writing. Like he's a writer. He can't write. He can't read or write. I don't know what he's talking about. That's how you know he's lying.
Whoops. Next, there'll be dancing. Some of it better than others. Discomfort? You're gonna have it. Whether it come in the form of sleeping arrangements, or hunger.
Thank God they stopped. Because I was this close, just nibbling on the back of Dustin's ear lobe. It was just in my face. But God provided Cal, so it worked out.
Or heat.
There we go again. AC is not on.
No trip would be complete without your leaders indulging in some form of embarrassing or deranged behavior.
Let's now! Let's now!
Dude, it's a mummy or something. It's a Boris Karloff movie.
I went a little bit too far in my throat or something.
Are you okay?
I think I'm dying.
Add to the mix some fun conversations.
What's the high point of your trip so far, this first hour?
Catlin saying he wanted to date Hannah Montana.
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite. Yeah.
From the Disney Channel.
So what do you have to say to that, Cal?
Don't deny
And be sure to end your bus trip in mass confusion.
Call down for a roll. All my stuff, there's 2 beds and 4 people. Call downstairs for a roll of
I don't understand what you just said.
If they go swimming, if you guys want to walk, charcoal grill or whatever it's called, that's up to you in your room. Okay. Hold on, we're having a leader. Sorry. So my kids are going to bed right now. So whatever, I don't care. We have to get up before the morning. Let's get this thing rolling. I don't want to stand.
That was it? That was our leader meeting?
Yeah, it was just a quick. I got the rollaway beds. I don't know. I don't know anything. I know nothing.
So when you finish your trip in total confusion, it's nice to know that someone knows what's going on. And that's where the sending agency comes in.